This is a broadcast from the Pop Cult Pod.
Welcome to the Pop Cult Pod. I'm your cult leader, Tom Pod, host of the only podcast with an actual cult following, the Pop Cult Pod. That's right, I'm back with another episode in what might be the shortest gap between episodes in a long time, assuming this does come out on time. And I should also mention that this episode is a little bit different than I promised at the end of the last episode, because I said we'd have a feature, and the feature's going to be really good. And it is going to be really good. Someday. I'm not doing the feature for this podcast, and the reason why is that it's really meaty. It took a lot of time, and honestly, I couldn't get it right for a podcast, so I think it's more suited to a standalone video. So keep an eye out for the future. I'm going to do a video on the history of Pixar and the time they nearly split from Disney, which will make a great video someday, I have no doubt. But I don't have a podcast feature for this episode, but I'm going to review Turning Red, since, you know, Pixar. So there is going to be stuff, and there's no shortage of things to discuss in this episode anyway. We have a lot of news to cover. News like Warner Bros. Not knowing what they're doing because they did a bit of a release date roulette, and it's kind of interesting where they put some of their biggest movies. We also have another video game being made into a TV series in what's become an emerging trend, and some sequels to films that we might not have expected showing up in unexpected places. How very mysterious of you, Tom, but we put all that mystery aside, because one thing that's always true, no mystery here, is that the news here is always new, because it's the new news.
Not just news, not just new news, but the new.
Was that a clunky intro? Sure was. But I'll tell you what's going to be very clunky. A sequel to I Am Legend. Yep, the sequel we've all been waiting for, right? What? This came out of nowhere. But apparently, they have started work on a sequel to the 2007 smash hit I Am Legend. I Am Legend 2. Which is what Michael B. Jordan is saying, because he's on board to star and produce, along with Will Smith, who is also returning to star and produce. And if you were hearing a bit of an inquisitive tone in my voice, it's because he, spoiler, died at the end of I Am Legend. My voice went high there because I'm unsure. Yeah, I don't really remember that movie. I don't think a lot of people do. They remember there was a dog. I think I remember the poster more than I remember the movie. And I probably have it on Blu-ray downstairs, so I probably will watch it, I guess, because I remember it being totally fine. Yeah, he died at the end of the movie, if I remember correctly. I think the thing is, there was an alternate ending that was much better, where he didn't die. So I don't know if they're going to make the alternate ending canon or just ignore it and say, hey, it was so long ago now people don't remember. Because it'll be over 15 years. I don't know why they're making a sequel. I figured they just remake it, because of course this is based on a novel that's called I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, which has been made. I Am Legend was the third time it was made. It was made as The Last Man on Earth. It was made, I think, with Charlton Heston when it was made as the Omega Man. And they're apparently going back to this, because I guess they were like, no, if we're going to do a post-apocalyptic story, we need to attach something to it, which is just very odd. But yeah, Michael B. Jordan is going to star in it and produce it, and apparently was kind of pivotal on getting Will Smith back on board with it, because there was talk of an I Am Legend sequel / prequel for a long time, because I Am Legend was a hit, but it never came to fruition, because I don't think there's a need for it. So I don't know why there's a need now for, but it does seem like it is very likely to happen, because all the leads of Will Smith, Michael B. Jordan, and also the original co-writer of the film, Akiva Goldsman, are all signed on to be involved in this. There's no director attached just yet. The original was directed by Francis Lawrence, I think. I also have to say, Akiva Goldsman, man, never before has a man just coasted on one film being pretty good, because if I'm just going to get this guy's filmography, because I looked at this earlier and I was baffled. Like, he won an Oscar, and when you see it, like, they got an Academy Award winning writer, Akiva Goldsman, you're like, oh, wow. And then you're like, okay, that's like the only thing. He wrote, the Oscar-winning film for him, by the way, was A Beautiful Mind. Listen to his work before and after. So, like, he did Batman Forever. It's like, oh, okay, he did A Time to Kill. Yeah, okay. Batman and Robin. Lost in Space. Oh. So yeah, a couple of big bombs there. Then we get A Beautiful Mind. Okay. Then he had I, Robot. Yeah, it's all right. Cinderella Man. Hey, not too bad. The Da Vinci Code. Ooh. And then he had I Am Legend, which was a hit. But then it's Angels and Demons. Oh, the losers. Winter's Tale, which he also directed. Classic flop. The Divergent Series Insurgent. The Fifth Wave. Rings. Transformers The Last Night. The Dark Tower. Wow, that's like a history of Hollywood flops. But yeah, he's involved, so get excited now, kids. Yeah. I Am Legend 2. I Am Legend also. I too am Legend 2. No, 2 I am 2 Legend. Is that how we do it? I Am Legend 2 Electric Boogaloo. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It's very strange. I mean, what was his character's name? It began with an N. I can't remember. Nelson? I don't remember. It wasn't Nigel. I don't think. But yeah, I don't know what his character is going to do. Like, has he survived this whole time in the apocalypse? I don't know. But I mean, thankfully, Will Smith looks the exact same as he did back then. So yeah, just carry on, I suppose. Another person who is going to be carrying on a sequel that also on paper doesn't make a lot of sense is the return of, and I can't believe I get to break out the accent, Hercule Poirot. Sorry, the accent gets worse every time. I don't know who I'm doing that accent for, by the way, because to understand that accent, you have to understand Hercule Poirot, understand that he speaks with an accent, and I guess also decipher my accent, which he's Hercule Poirot, legendary detective. Monsieur, these eggs are not to my liking. Oh, there has been a murder on the Orient Express. Ha ha. Is that offensive? I don't know. He's Belgian, is he? I don't know. Yes, we're getting more Poirot, seemingly. And you're saying, wait, of course we're getting more Poirot. Poirot has been a staple of literature and television and film for decades now, based, of course, on Agatha Christie's creation. Why I'm confused at this is because on paper it doesn't make sense. The last film that we got with Hercule Poirot was, of course, Death on the Nile. It was just released recently, and on a 90 million budget, barely made over 100 million, and is being rushed to streaming quite soon, seemingly. And now, look, let's put a few caveats on that. Number one, it had the unenviable task of trying to sell a film with Armie Hammer in it as the lead. And, you know, also other people that people might not be too into, like Letitia Wright and Russell Brand, and even Gal Gadot. It was really weird. I saw like this article, and it was like the poor publicist that had to sell this movie, and it was like, you're like, Armie Hammer, ooh, that's indefensible. Letitia Wright, oh, dodgy kind of political release. But, you know, some people probably are agreeing with her. Russell Brand, the same thing. And there was like Gal Gadot, who made that god-awful Imagine video. And I was like, okay, look, tone-deaf video, sure, but she doesn't deserve to be lumped in with the cannibal and the conspiracy theorist, surely. But either way, yeah, it didn't do well financially. But I will say this, right? And Murder on the Orient Express was when I was like, hey, it's okay. Death on the Nile I thought was a lot better. I saw Death on the Nile, and despite the fact I got a terrible seat in the cinema and was like sitting in the second row and had like a broken neck and a headache by the end of it, I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It looked good. But, you know, it shouldn't probably have been 90 million. And I think whatever about these films, I'm not saying they're like amazing films. They're comfy watches. You know, you try to just throw them on, and it's and I like the idea of having this I love the idea of having a load of films with this detective character that is recurring, because there is a sort of fun to them and a classical element to them. And I know, as always happens, anytime you bring up Poirot, like the Agatha Christie stands, whoever they may be, like a century later, still come out and they're like, oh, well, I didn't like his Poirot. David Suchet did a far better Poirot. And you're like, oh, where did you come from? But yes, the president of 20th Century Studio, which is, of course, now a subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company, Stephen Asbell, and I'm naming him because we're going to mention him later as well in a sec. He's confirmed that the third installment of Kenneth Branagh's Hercule Poirot films, based on the Agatha Christie novels, is going to happen. Michael Green, who wrote the last two, of course, that being Murder on the Orient Express and the recent Death on the Nile, has already seemingly written the script. And he went on to say that it will be a pretty daring shift in genre and in tone. It's post-war Venice and an adaptation of one of the lesser-known novels. So I think you'll see the mustache again. And they're really selling it on the mustache. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, I think it was actually good. And I want to see more. So, yeah, it's kind of a surprising story of a franchise that succeeded. The first one made a lot of money. I'm not sure is there money in continuing to go this, but I think it's honestly the right size hit for a streaming service if they get the cast and the budget under control. But we shall see. But they have plenty in the works for streaming over at 20th Century Studios, because this week we got news that Fede Álvarez is going to write and direct a new Alien film set for release on Hulu, which of course, when we say Hulu, if to a European audience, and of course the audience that is Irish, that includes me, that's Disney Plus for us, which is of course Disney Plus Star. Ridley Scott is returning to produce it, and this is through 20th Century Studios, who they hope, apparently, the hope is that they're going to deliver 10 films a year for Hulu. And it seems like they're hitting that most of the time, to be honest, but no details have been revealed about the film, but it's said to be unconnected to past films, and according to the Hollywood Reporter's sources, Álvarez is a rabid fan of the franchise and casually pitched a take to Scott many years ago. The idea remained implanted in Scott's brain until late last year, when he called Álvarez out of the blue and asked him if he was still up for it. Álvarez didn't have to be asked twice. I think that's bollocks. I just don't, like, Ridley Scott, who complains about everything, like, some excited director came up to him and was like, oh, I got this idea for Alien. And he listened to the whole pitch. Ridley Scott has no time for anyone's nonsense, seemingly. And he was like, oh, that's actually good. That's actually good. And he stayed with him. And then he was like, I need that young Fede Álvarez. I don't buy it. I don't know. But anyway, 20th Century Fox picked up the project purely off the strength of Fede's pitch, said division president Stephen Asbell. Hey, he's gotten 2 mentions this episode, as I mentioned. It was just a really good story with a bunch of characters you haven't seen before. He's, of course, best known for Don't Breathe, and he made the Evil Dead remake. This is also now means, by the way, interesting enough, that Predator and Alien are now both Hulu franchises, because the next Predator film, Prey, is also going to Hulu this year. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying we're going to see Alien versus Predator again, but I'm saying that it is interesting that they're both on streaming, and probably the future for where you're going to see some more rated franchises like this, because, like, even the person in charge, Stephen Asbell, I said his name 3 times. I hope he doesn't show up like Beetlejuice. Says that, like, yeah, there's no constraints now. We don't need to worry about the audience because the audience will check it out in streaming, and I think it makes more sense. I think that some of the people that grew up with these franchises are more likely to check it out if they can just watch it at home. And if the budget's in check, it can easily be a success and draw people to their streaming service. But it is quite interesting. But it's also not the only Alien project in development at Hulu, or FX, I guess, but FX is on Hulu. FX is on Hulu, which is Disney Plus Star. Oh my god. All these streaming services! And it's not going to stop anytime soon. Yeah, there's an Alien TV series in the works from Noah Hawley, which is currently being worked on for FX, and is set to debut next year. So, yeah, Alien is far from dead. But it's got an interesting future, seemingly mostly on streaming services. So we'll see how that goes. And speaking of streaming services, and speaking of franchises, we had a lot of talk last time about video game movies and video game stuff in general. Well, guess what, folks? Video game TV series are a thing now. And they're not going anywhere, because we got news that Amazon Prime is apparently in negotiations to make a live-action God of War TV series from the creators of The Expanse, Mark Ferguson, Hawk Ostby. That's a real name. I just have to double check that was not a character from The Expanse or a character from The Wheel of Time. No, because there is the Wheel of Time showrunner. Rafe Judkins is also on board this project. Weirdly enough, both Amazon and Sony declined to comment, which probably means it's happening, to be honest. It's probably a better indication if they'd be like, no, we're not working on it. Yeah, it probably means it's happening, to be honest. This is one of the many series, as I mentioned, based on video game TV series. Look, I'll give my very brief thoughts on God of War first, because this is kind of like a stepping stone to a bigger topic, I guess. I think that's something that has great potential if cast right. I mean, it is an interesting one because it would need a pretty big budget, I'd imagine. I do think the audience is there. I think like you could attract a casual audience with a God of War if done right. And it really does feel like Amazon are doubling down on genre TV lately, because they, of course, have the Wheel of Time. They have the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, it's interesting to see them kind of try find their place in the market. And maybe they will. I don't know. But it's, as I mentioned, it's not the only show that they're going after. And certainly not the case for Amazon. They're making 2 other video game shows right now. They were apparently in negotiations to try and make a Mass Effect TV series. We haven't got an update on that. I believe that happened in November, so who knows if that's going to happen or if they're just keeping it close to the chest. But they're also working on a Fallout TV series, and just this week they cast Walton Goggins as the lead. So, strange. They're really, really going after that market. But again, they're not alone in that. Peacock has announced a Twisted Metal series with Anthony Mackie. HBO has a Last of Us series coming next year. We also have a Resident Evil series, a live-action one of those, because those live-action Resident Evil things have been so good so far. They're working on one for Netflix, a Resident Evil live-action series. And of course, Paramount are going to have a Halo really soon. So it's just very strange. It feels like we're getting a real resurgence in video game properties being adapted for the screen, both big and small. Of course, we have, just had Uncharted, which did quite well, and is almost guaranteed a sequel. Sonic is out in a couple of weeks. Mario is out at the end of the year. So, long thought to be a genre that just didn't succeed could well be getting a resurgence, for better or worse. We'll have to see how that goes. But again, more streaming. Oh man, this used to be a podcast about cinema. Now it's a podcast about streaming. Am I right, Martin Scorsese? Am I right, Steven Spielberg? Who are all bringing their stuff to streaming, by the way, you bloody hypocrites. Hey, HBO Max have put forward some of the ideas that they're working on. I mean, they didn't put them forward, but you know what I'm trying to say. The Batman is currently making a lot of money. It's currently doing quite well at the box office, and they're trying to capitalize on that. We'd heard talk already about a Gotham PD series. That's seemingly not going to happen, or at least, to put it in the words of Matt Reeves, it's evolved. A very nice way of putting it. So he was speaking to the Cyber Nerds podcast, and he revealed that the show would now center on the world of Arkham. We get some pretentious enough quotes here that I'm going to read out, stating that it's now gone into the realm of exactly what would happen in the world of Arkham as it relates to coming off of our movie and some of the characters. It's like a horror movie or a haunted house that is Arkham. The idea, again, the way that Gotham is a character in the movie, I really want Arkham to exist as a character. You go into this environment and encounter these characters in a way that feels really fresh. And so in our world of Gotham, in our work on Gotham, that story started to evolve, and we should really lean into this. Okay? He's making an Arkham series, is what he's saying, I guess. There were no further details provided on the Gotham PD spin-off. It was expected to revolve around a corrupt cop during the first year of Batman's beginning, I guess. And of course, Gotham PD was corrupt around him, so it would have been kind of interesting. I don't know how I feel about an Arkham series. But I also don't know how I felt about a Gotham PD series. I've seen the Batman now. My review is up, by the way, if you want to check it on YouTube, on this channel, if you're watching the video version here. And it's like, I don't know how much I want from that. I don't know what the best thing that could happen by making an Arkham TV series is, Surely you could flesh out some of the characters on screen, but I'm guessing they're going to save that for the movie. So are we just getting villains that are never going to have much payoff on screen? Are we getting prequels, which I'm just done with? We've had so many Batman prequels, it feels like, and just remember, as I go into the next part of the story, we just had 5 or 6 years of Gotham on Fox, which admittedly there were more constraints on, but I didn't enjoy at all. I could never even get through the first season, and I just feel like, what's the point of doing us all these proto villains? I don't know. Is that look? I do. It's a project I'm obviously going to check out regardless, but I think it feels unnecessary to me. If they'd made a Catwoman spin-off, I would have been all for it. This kind of nebulous Gotham Arkham series, I don't know. I guess it depends on the timeline. I guess it depends on who they're adapting and what it means for the future. But we'll have to see. But as I was hinting at, it's not the only spin-off of the Batman that we're getting, because they officially have ordered now. There was rumours for a long time. They confirmed that a series based on the Penguin, as portrayed by Colin Farrell, has been given a series order. Said Farrell, the world that Matt Reeves created for the Batman is one that warrants a deeper gaze through the eyes of Oswald Cobblepot. I couldn't be more excited about continuing the exploration of Oz as he rises through the darkened ranks to become the Penguin. It will be good to get him back on the streets of Gotham for a little madness and a little mayhem. Lauren Frank, who worked on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Chuck will act as showrunner, and the series will show Cobblepot's past and his rise to power in Gotham City. And again, I ask you why. Because, not without going into the Batman too much and reviewing it again, I thought the Penguin was good. It wasn't the Penguin we know. So you're going back to show us a Penguin we already know isn't going to become the Penguin until much later. And I think, to a certain degree, depending what you do with the Penguin, it just easily can run the risk of being a mundane crime drama with a Batman filter. And I don't think you're going to get anything major in that. So, I don't know, man. I'm going to watch them, of course, but I have a real skepticism about the need for these projects. I think this is something that we're seeing a lot more with streaming, which is that everything can be a franchise. Whether you remember or not, if it's got name recognition, let's just do it. And look, hey, Peacemaker was great, but I don't know if you're going to kind of pick apart everything for scrap. I don't know how you're going to do that with Batman. It feels like it's very easy to do because there is so many kind of elements to a Batman film and a Batman series, but I don't know. I don't know, is this for the best? Time will tell, I guess. And look, what do I know? I'm just some dude with a podcast. But either way, it's a strange one, and certainly feels like the future. It feels like that's what's going to happen a lot. I'm trying to think of other DC properties that could work on HBO Max, and I guess the Batman is one they're sticking with. But it's not the only superhero film that is getting continued, because at long last we got a director for Deadpool 3. We're still calling it Deadpool 3. I guess I don't know, is it going to have continuity too much between them? But either way, the Hollywood Reporter has confirmed that Shawn Levy, or Levy, I don't know, Levy, will direct Deadpool 3. Ryan Reynolds, of course, will return as the Merc with him out for the first entry since Disney acquired Fox. What was interesting about this report is also that kind of the in between the lines, what they mentioned was that Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who wrote Deadpool and Deadpool 2, they were the sole writers on it. Aside from in Deadpool 2, they also got, Ryan Reynolds, are on board to work on the film. Now, we'd previously heard that the Molyneux sisters, Wendy and Lizzie, best known for Bob's Burgers, were working on the script. So there's no indication where they're going to fit in. Are they rewriting their script? Are they doing their own script? Are they all working together? Who knows? Certainly they have time to work it out, because we don't know who's going to get credit on that script, but Shawn Levy is really busy. He just had the Adam Project drop on Netflix, which apparently was, okay. He has Free Guy, which he made and was a hit on Disney during kind of, the tail end maybe of the pandemic, or when cinemas were still uncertain. It provided a big hit. But he's also working on a series for Netflix, All the Light We Cannot See, which is a mini-series. He's working on that in Europe. He has commitments to Stranger Things, which is also coming back. He's a producer on that and has directed a couple of episodes. And in the new season, he's also directed a few episodes. So I imagine he'll have to work on that a bit. And, as Free Guy is getting a sequel, who knows how involved he is with that. But either way, it seems like he's not going to start filming until at least next year. So we're not going to see Deadpool 3 for some time. I do think we'll see Deadpool show up before that. I know Ryan Reynolds denied it, but I think he's showing up in Multiverse of Madness, to be honest, even as a small role. I think, that'll make people go crazy, and, also just test the waters for the interest of having him in the MCU proper. But it's kind of a hard one again. When Marvel cast directors, it can be a real toss-up, because they don't always hire directors who are, oh man, this sounds like such a slam, interesting directors. My point is, Taika Waititi made a Taika Waititi movie. James Gunn made a James Gunn movie. Peyton Reed made a Marvel movie. John Watt made a Marvel movie. And that's not discrediting, those directors, and it's also possibly giving too much credit to Taika Waititi and James Gunn, because they also made Marvel movies. But my point is that Shawn Levy, to me, feels like a hired gun. When you look at his filmography, he made Free Guy, which I thought was fine. It was a movie that if I was probably like 12, I would have loved it. That's such a slam. Ow. He made, what else did he make? I am not going to watch the Adam Project. Again, I think it's that same demographic. Ryan Reynolds kind of also, just kind of feels like he's doing the same thing over and over again. And Shawn Levy kind of feels like the same thing. He made the Night at the Museum movies, which I've heard are fine. I haven't seen them. He made Just Married. When you look at his early career, it's really weird. It's like Just Married, Cheaper by the Dozen, The Pink Panther. And it's like, wow, how did this happen? He made Real Steel, which I've heard is good. I haven't watched that though. The Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie with Hugh Jackman. I don't know. To me, it's just he doesn't come off as someone with a distinct style, or just someone who is a very interesting director. And I don't know. I guess you don't really need that for Deadpool. I guess we had Tim Miller direct the first one, and I think Tim Miller was great and did a great job with the first Deadpool. But I don't think I don't think he's like a very polished director necessarily, or a very interesting director. He made Terminator Dark Fate, and it could have been anyone. David Leitch made Deadpool 2. A lot of people didn't like Deadpool 2. I thought it was better than the first one, personally. His kind of signature is action, and we got that. So I guess it doesn't really matter. I think more fate goes with Ryan Reynolds that he will follow his instincts. And again, you don't need something utterly cinematic with a Deadpool movie anyway, I guess. So it's not really a cause for concern, but it is. It's fine. I'm just thinking I was thinking who would make a better director for Deadpool? And I honestly don't know. I don't know, is there someone out there who screams, I'm a director for Deadpool? Because you just need someone who's wacky and irreverent anyway, I think. And I think that can be anyone under the right circumstances once they understand the character. And Ryan Reynolds understands the character. And Levy and Reynolds have a great relationship creatively. So I'm sure that they'll see eye to eye on this project. So maybe it's for the best. But either way, if you are excited for Deadpool, you're not going to be getting it anytime soon. It might as well have been delayed because it won't be out till, at the very least, and this is even a stretch, the end of next year, but probably not till 2024. Did someone say delay just now? I said delay. I haven't heard that word in so long. Oh my god. I was back. Hey! Did you just say delay? Have a little patience. It's hey, did you say delay? Not hey, did you just say delay, Tom? No big deal. It's only, your own fucking show. But yeah, I thought this segment had been retired. I thought we were through the worst of it and we weren't going to have any more significant delays. How wrong was I? Because Warner Brothers just flipped the table recently for some strange reason. And I say strange reason, I'll get to why I think it's all very strange. Obviously, delays happen. But it feels like they were unaware the delays are going to happen or something. But firstly, we'll start with one that is maybe a bit separated to the others. This is that Paul King, who's making a Wonka film, of course, he made the Paddington movies previously. This starring Timothée Chalamet as Willy Wonka, was moved from March 17th of next year. That's right, St. Patrick's Day. Oh, shit, oh. Why did I put on an Irish accent? I'm Irish already. Sorry. Yeah, this is coming out, a year to the day almost. That's been pushed. Well, it's not coming out a year to the day now because it just got pushed, Tom. That's the story. It's now coming out December 15th of next year. Yeah, I mean, I look, I don't think Paddy's Day or St. Patrick's Day or Paddy's Day, to quote you Americans out there, is really a specific time for a movie anyway, really. But it's just been delayed until Christmas, which actually probably suggests that they think it's going to either be a good family movie or something awards contendery. It's not going to win awards, I don't think, but I do think it could have a good family component, possibly. What's also interesting is that they've pushed it to a week before Star Wars Rogue Squadron and Star Trek 4, which, I mean, might as well be the biggest sign yet that they don't think those movies are happening, which is, I don't think anyone does. Which, by the way, if you just joining us, what that means is that, in theory, a Star Wars film and a Star Trek film are coming out the same day. Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron and Star Trek 4, which we talked about in the last episode, that seemingly no one was aware was happening, including the people who were in it. But yeah, that's interesting. Wonka's been moved from March 17th. I wonder, will we hear that date again? Suspense.
The suspense is terrible. I hope it'll last.
Originally set for May 20th of this year, DC's League of Super Pets is going to have to wait a little bit of time to go for walkies. Do you see that? That's like hack Hollywood writer stuff. In other words, it's been delayed. That's to the point. That's what you say on Twitter, not in your flowery articles. The Hollywood Reporter, who I constantly source. Good work. It's coming out now July 29th. So, 2 months and a bit, which is interesting. It's taking the date of another film, though. Another film starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Black Adam. That's right. The hierarchy of power in the DC universe is just changed, or whatever the slogan is that we keep hearing it is crap. It really does feel like Dwayne Johnson is just like, I'm here now. Now I'm the most powerful superhero. Get it? Because I'm The Rock. But yeah, he's going to have to wait a bit longer to whoop all their candy asses because it's now been pushed to October 21st of this year. It said a lot of these delays are because of pressure on the visual effects companies because of COVID. Which, okay. Does feel like a bit of last minute to be like, oh yeah, now we're having problems. Like, I couldn't tell that way in advance. And again, it's weirder again because I will say why in a sec. But not every film was lucky enough to just be delayed till later this year. Because The Flash movie, which is the slowest film of all time, ironically, we've been hearing about this since 2013 or something, has once more been delayed. Originally coming out November 4th, It's now not expected to arrive until June 23rd of 2023. That's right, 23/6/23. This is also a week before Indiana Jones 5. Again, poor scheduling, because you could have moved ahead like another week and it would have been even more free from Indiana Jones. Warner Brothers is really strange, as we're going to see. I know I'm teasing what I'm going to say, like it's something major. It's not. It's just very odd what Warner Bros. Are doing. They're just putting movies in like the way of a lot of films for some reason. It's like they don't care anymore. But they also pushed another film that was meant to come out this year, and they pushed it to St. Patrick's Day again. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, because there's nothing screams Paddy's Day like Jason Momoa. Hey, he likes Guinness. That'll do. You know what? I changed my mind. Perfect restate. He's coming now to cinemas March 17th next year. But what's more strange is that originally that date that Aquaman was going to come out in was December 16th of this year. And I guess they were like, hey, we don't want to waste time. We don't want to waste a release slot. Let's move another film up 6 months. Shazam! Fury of the Gods has been moved up 6 months. Okay, I guess there's no worries about visual effects there. What's even weirder is that they put it directly on the date of Avatar 2, which is what we were all considering Aquaman was going to move because Avatar was coming. But they were actually like, hey, we're not going to move a movie out of there because you don't get steamrolled by Avatar and effects and whatever else excuse we made. But we will put this smaller movie to get smushed by Avatar. What? That's so strange. Of course, I have to shout out David F. Sandberg, who put out a legendary tweet. Going up against Avatar 2. Poor James Cameron must be shaking in his boots right now. Fair play. That guy is really cool, man. He's a legend. Counter-programming? Maybe. I don't know. Then again, Shazam came out like in between Captain Marvel and Avengers Infinity War. And did alright. Did enough to get a sequel. It's just very odd to push everything kind of out of the year a bit and then be like, hey, what about this movie? Just take this instead. Very, very strange behavior. If I had a guess, I would have said they could have put Batgirl here, but there's a reason they're not. Because realistically, Batgirl also won't come out this year now. There was talk that it would be out this year. Maybe it wasn't ever going to be. But I don't think this is not going to come out until Flash comes out realistically, because Michael Keaton is in both. They're not going to waste Michael Keaton's return on Batgirl. That's not my opinion. They're just going to put it in Flash because it's the bigger movie they need to sell. Which, yeah, I guess also Batgirl got delayed in a way, so it's not going to come out till next summer, probably. It's, again, the reason I say all this is very strange is that they put out a trailer for DC's Legend of Super Pets 3 days before moving it. That hyped the movie and had Batman in it, because it was like a cross-promotion thing with Batman, and Keanu Reeves is voicing Batman in that. And don't worry, that's not the haymaker that makes it so weird. They put out a trailer for this. And when I say this, I mean literally something I don't see people do very often, which was a trailer literally for this year in DC film in February. Less than a month ago. Being like, these are all the heroes coming from DC this year. And it's immediately out of date. Because it had Flash, it had Aquaman. Next year. Better look next year when you make our 2023 DC trailer before we fuck up our timeline again. And now Shazam is coming out, which we didn't include. But, you know, Batman came out and Black Adam will come out probably in October if it doesn't get delayed again, because it's the only movie that's been in development longer than Flash. What is Warner Bros. Doing? I'm not the guy who, like, you see people on site, and oftentimes it's the Zack Snyder fans who are like, they don't know what they're doing. This guy is incompetent. And then you see stuff like this and you're like, you know what? Actually, they're right. Like, it's so strange that they just decided, like, actually, you know what? Let's just move everything around. Shazam can come out before everything. Sure. Flash can come out before Aquaman now. It doesn't really matter. Or after Aquaman, I guess. It's just like it does feel like there's no planning involved at times, doesn't it? But yeah, also I should say, like, that trailer, like the World of DC Heroes, I don't know is this universal, but I think it is playing in front of a lot of trailers for the Batman. It actually played at the end of my one because I guess they were like people are going to be cheated by the post-credit scene, so I'll put something to make him happy. It's just very odd. I also could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Well, actually, I don't care if I'm wrong about this. They released that on Super Bowl weekend. I don't think it was a Super Bowl trailer. I think they were just a lot of places now will just put out a trailer to try capitalize on the Super Bowl publicity. But if they did, they blew millions for a trailer that was immediately outdated less than a month later. That is gross incompetence. Yeah. Also, I should also mention DC Fandom, which they did it last year, and it was really dumb because they just didn't have enough to show. They're going to have even less to show next year now, because next year is going to be a repeat of the stuff from this year mostly. So it's basically been the same show 2 years in a row. Baffling stuff. I don't get it. I don't know what DC's game is, but either way, that is our new news, including the delays, which, man, will we have to dust that segment off again? Probably. Because COVID delays and, special effects, I'm sure Warner Bros. Isn't the only one suffering with that. If that is actually a genuine excuse, and not just them trying to hide how badly they fucked up. But either way, nothing could raise my spirits more right now than to talk about some of the trailers we got this week. Because it's been a good time for trailers. We've been eating well, and that means we've been eating out of the trash. But not just any trash, the trailer trash.
This is the theme for trailer
This is the theme for trailer trash. Get in the bin.
Get in the bin.
Hello there. That's right. Obi-Wan Kenobi. You mean Ben Kenobi? Is that what the line is? Oh, I don't know. I don't care. We got a trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi, ladies and gentlemen, coming to Disney+. I said, I think, on our preview episode of the whole year, which is also outdated now. That's why I'm so angry at Warner Bros. Because it's immediately outdated. I mean, the only segment outdated more than that is when I talk about video games, because everything got delayed, seemingly. But yeah, we got a trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I said on my preview episode before, this is possibly the only Star Wars thing I'm actually actively excited for. I'm going to watch all the other stuff, but this is the one where I'm like, oh, I like this. This has me intrigued. And this trailer left me whelmed. That's right, not underwhelmed, not overwhelmed, just whelmed. And that is what I want from a teaser trailer, which is pretty much what this was, to be honest. It was just like, this is what we're going for, and we'll get a bigger trailer closer to the time. But yes, this is interesting. It's exactly what we thought it was, basically. Obi-Wan Kenobi is keeping an eye over Luke Skywalker and making sure no harm comes to him, which you might think, what's Luke Skywalker up to in the time between the prequels and the original trilogy? Well, guess what? He's seemingly a bit of a slow child. He's a bit of a dope. He's sitting on the house, the doorframe of the house, which is like a sand igloo. You know how it is in Tatooine. They all live in sand igloos. He's sitting on the house pretending to drive the house. But I know he's a kid, and kids do that stuff, but it's like, is that any better than just sitting on a chair? Why do you have to sit on the house? I don't know. I just thought that was a very weird thing, I guess. But yeah, he's watching over them. That's already become a meme as well, of him using the binoculars and then looking at something. But either way, there's not a lot else in this trailer, except there's one thing, that man, the saving grace of this trailer. I have to give this a bit of a blast, because if it can make the trailer interesting, hopefully it'll make this podcast interesting. Jewel of the Fates, in case you couldn't tell. That was not a donkey in Tatooine. That was Jewel of the Fates by John Williams. I'm sure I'm going to get copyright strike for that one, sorry. Yeah, that was actually me just playing the soundtrack, by the way. It wasn't my voice. Whatever you saw in the video version, that was me just, just lip syncing. But yes, Jewel of the Fates is in this, and it kicks ass. There's also, I can't remember the other piece of music is in this, but man, whatever you say about the prequel trilogies, man, they had some kick-ass music. Yeah, it's basically just him monitoring over Luke Skywalker, but at this same time, Inquisitors, who, of course, their mission is to take out the remaining Jedi. We get a lot of Inquisitors. I think we get 2 or 3, actually, that we look at. There's one particularly notable one. I think he's in the series, and I think it's him. Well, of course, he's covered in makeup. Is Rupert Friend, from Homeland. He's got like this spinning red lightsaber. It looks really intimidating and really cool. He's kind of trying to hunt down Obi-Wan Kenobi. Seemingly, the story of this is that there's some incident or some event that forces Obi-Wan Kenobi to draw attention to himself, and as a result, he becomes a target of the Inquisitors, who, of course, are trying to target him, but probably also target Luke, I assume. because otherwise it's like, you know, you have to get Luke in there somehow, don't you? Which is, you know, it is what it is. Look, that's the thing where, like, after Boba Fett, it's like, who are they going to cram in here? Who are they going to call up? General Grievous, is he still alive? The ghost of Count Dooku. No, I mean, who could pop up in this realistically? I guess Yoda, but that would be weird. So, yeah, they probably will. Ahsoka Tano, when does Darth Vader start? Oh, no, wait. Ahsoka Tano could throw this, because she was before he became Darth Vader. I don't know where she would be in this timeline. I'm not that much of a Star Wars fan. Who else could pop up? Well, of course, Uncle Owen is there. That's right. Joel Edgerton is there. Do you think he's slightly annoyed that he's like, he got a role in Star Wars when he was a nobody. Now he's somebody, and it's like, what role have you got for me? Who can I be? Do I get a wheel, lightsaber, shoot a blaster? They're like, you're Uncle Owen. Oh. Oh, man. So, yeah, I don't know who else could pop up. Mace Windu is dead, but sure, throw him in there. I mean, look, there's one obvious character they can bring back. Okay? And it's, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Are they going to do it? I don't know. Because, again, it's hard to judge what this is going to be like. The tone of it is going to be as out there as some of the other Star Wars stuff. But look, there's a built-in rivalry already because he killed Obi-Wan's master. That's right. Could they bring back Darth Maul? He's alive, according to Solo. I don't know. It would be something that the internet would go crazy for. This is apparently a limited series, but there was someone recently that was like, hey, maybe season 2 though. So like they're doing that thing where like if it's a disaster, they're like, oh yeah, it was a limited series, but if it's really successful, like, oh yeah, limited series, limited to fucking 5 seasons and billions of dollars. Yeah, so that's interesting. There's also a point where he uses a blaster, which is cool. And I'm glad that it doesn't seem like we're all just set on Tatooine, because look, we're all getting sick of just the sandy planets. It feels like we get a lot of that when they use the volume for these Star Wars shows, but yeah, he's seemingly in a city that's all lit up and using a blaster, so that's cool. And as a teaser trailer, it worked really well. The big reveal we didn't get, of course, was Darth Vader. There was, I think it was a photo or concept art that went around of Darth Vader in this. And it looked like Darth Vader. Maybe there were some small differences, I don't know. I think it's kind of a shame, actually, because like if the prequel trilogy hadn't ended with him getting into Darth Vader costume, you could have had like kind of him before he was Darth Vader, some sort of weird breathing apparatus that would have been visually interesting and different. But I don't know. I guess like all the man children want Darth Vader. I said that as if I'm not going to freak out if I see Darth Vader, or like freak out when they do some dumb Marvel stuff. So yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I bashed myself there. Whoops, that was a cell phone. But yeah, we do hear his breathing at the end of the trailer, and that was it. That was the trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Good trailer, good teaser. Has got me interested. Has it got me any more interested than it was? It's about what I expected, and I expect to enjoy it. So there we go. It comes out May 25th on Disney+. But we also got a trailer for the only movie trailer I'm actually going to talk about this week. We got one from Morbius, but that was my reaction to that. I should do one of those trailer reactions on YouTube someday. Like, oh, someone reacts to Morbius trailer. It just, it looks like a Morbius trailer. Bullet Train, my most anticipated action movie from my preview of the year. And man, I feel like I backed a winning horse based on this trailer. This looks like silly, stylized fun. It just looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a nice mixture between John Wick and Nobody's kind of more comedic tone. So I guess just Nobody. But also a bit more serious. It's set to a Japanese cover of Staying Alive, which I liked. But then it did make me go like, was that already a cover, or did they go out of their way to cover for that? Because then it's kind of pathetic and desperate. But I did like it. So it follows Brad Pitt, who is an assassin, but he seemingly wants to kind of leave that world behind him. But he's pulled back into it for an assignment where he has to get a briefcase from a bullet train and brings a gun with him. And thankfully he does, because the train is full of other assassins who have all these overlapping assignments. Interesting. This has a great cast, which I'll get to in a sec. Prominently in the trailer, the first kind of other person we see in the trailer is Bad Bunny. That's right. Wrestling legend and hip-hop star, Bad Bunny. And they have a really badass fight scene that looks really good. I was like, damn, man, he looks like a star in this. And that's so based on only the trailer. But we get that kind of great, almost like Thanos moment where it's like, you took everything from me. I don't even know who you are. Where he's like, I will get revenge on you. And Brad Pitt is like, dude, I don't know you. But that's the thing I was going to say, actually, because he does deliver a line like that. I really like Brad Pitt's character in this. It's kind of weird, kind of goofy. It suits him. I like seeing him in kind of different roles. And he kind of has settled into being a kind of bit more comedic in his more recent roles. And this is something that I enjoy seeing here. It also looks like, if you're kind of worried that this whole thing is set on a bullet train, I mean, don't get me wrong, There's a lot of bullet train in this. They're inside the train. They're in another part of the train. They're on top of the train. They're hanging off the train. More train than you can handle, buddy. There's never been so much train on screen since Thomas the Tank Engine's film. Trains have never looked better than Thomas and Friends, The Magic Railroad. I think that was up my brain somewhere, and I don't know why. I think that's the name of it. So yeah, they're doing a lot of that, but it does seem like we're going to kind of get a break between the action scene, kind of maybe a bit of backstory seemingly for the assassins, because we see like a flashback to what seems to be Bad Bunny's character, and I think a flashback for Hiroyuki Sanada's character, I think. So yeah, it seems like we kind of get an intro for a lot of them. But okay, there's a lot of fighting in it, and it looks fun. The cast, by the way, as I said, is amazing. Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Andrew Koji, Joey King, Brian Tyree Henry, Michael Shannon, Hiroyuki Sanada, Bad Bunny, Masioka, Zazie Beetz, Logan Lerman, Karen Fukuhara, and Sandra Bullock. Whoa. This looked great. Yeah, it looks like perfect summertime fun. I don't know, I feel like such a shill. I feel dirty for saying that. I didn't even get paid to say that. But yeah, it's I think it seems like what they're kind of hinting at here, and maybe I'm wrong. There's a line later on that Sanada says to Brad Pitt, I believe it is, and I think he says that it's kind of fate. And like, part of me wonders, is this basically like that he's been kind of burnt as like an assassin, where it's like, okay, you want to retire, we're going to put you on this train, and all these people are people that want revenge on you, and their assignment is to kill you, and it's like all figures from his past. Possibly, I don't know. But it does look kind of fun. There's a moment where he's fighting Brian T. Henry in a quiet car on the train, and he has to stay quiet. It's kind of fun. It's dopey, but it's kind of fun. And also, I will say, like, there's parts in this where like they're fighting on a train and just seemingly no one is there. But there's a moment where someone does walk in and he takes a sparkling water and they start fighting again, which is again fun. I've said fun a lot, but it does look fun. It comes out July 15th. Yeah, I would say if I had to say something negative, they put out a poster for this, which is so bad. And I think it's meant to be bad on purpose, but you know when something is bad on purpose and you're like, yeah, okay, but what you've really done is just made a bad poster. It's like one of those, it looks like a stock photo and a really bad like photo shoot of like advertising the train. There's a tiny bit of blood on the car seat and it says Bullet Train. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I saw like my local cinema was like, yeah, oh, see the trailer for Bullet Train. They put up the poster and it was like, it's like coming to cinemas this summer. Here's the poster. And I'm like, that's not going to get anyone excited. It's mostly a grey wall. But either way, I'll tell you what did get me excited in a very strange way, and that is a trailer. We were talking and saying they did a lot of genre TV, the Tribute 11, and certainly this was their biggest hit. I might have been outpassed by Reacher now. The Boys, at long last, we're playing with the boys for season 3. Ooh, man, between that and my Jewel of the Fates cameo, I think I should start putting my songs on Spotify. Yes, the boys are back in town, baby. It's been a long time. We haven't had a new episode of the series since late 2020. I want to say October 2020, maybe even September. There has been a spin-off, by the way, called The Boys Presents Diabolical. That's my Billy Butcher. Fucking Diabolical. Which actually I haven't watched, but it's an animated thing. It's an animated anthology, and it actually looks quite interesting, because something I didn't know is that they have a different animation style for every episode, which immediately, like, I guess I must be undiagnosed with ADHD, because I was like, oh, I like that. I like that it keeps changing. This trailer was very odd for a lot of reasons, but mainly because there's not any dialogue in it, I don't think. Or if there is, it's very little. It's basically just a montage of crazy shit set to an Imagine Dragons song, and it does its job. It gets me hyped for because I think a show like this that is so crazy and weird and has so much going on, that's bound to get you interested. It's a red band trailer, so a lot happens, but it's just disconnected scenes. I mean, there's a scene where A-Train is spoofing the Kendall Jenner Pepsi ad with his own drink, which is great. There's musical and dancing numbers. There's a scene where Homelander is threatening A-Train with his laser vision. There's a scene where Homelander threatens a Venezuelan cook and hits him with a glass. Oh, wait. Yes. Antony Starr, Homelander. You've been a bad boy. Fucking diabolical. Yes, he assaulted a Venezuelan cook in Spain when he was drunk. What was that about, man? He got in a fight with the guy and hit him with a glass and then caused the guy to get 4 stitches and has a 12-month suspended sentence and got away with a fine. That's just very weird. Yeah, bad man. Bad behaviour. And I liked you, dude. What the hell? But what's even worse is, do you know what, like, and this is really weird. This is like the weirdest song I've heard. You know what? Anytime there's a celebrity and like they have that scandal, it's like, do you know who I am? And you're like, oh man, I lost respect for him. I don't know if I lost respect for him here, or am I like, I'm just kind of scared of this man. What he said to the guy, because the guy didn't know who he was. He says, "You don't know who you've messed with. You won't know who I am and what you've done." Was he in character as Homelander? Holy shit. Yeah, but anyway, that's Antony Starr. Not in the trailer, by the way. I mean, Antony Starr is, Homelander is, but not him beating a chef, which is probably for the best. Although it would be a good way to sell your series, I guess, because everyone will be talking about that. But you should be talking about the exploding bodies we get in the trailer. And the most notable point in this, and they revealed it in the poster as well. And I'm shocked they revealed this so early on, which makes me wonder if it is accurate. Butcher has superpowers. There's a shot where it looks like he's taking Compound V to give him those powers. There's look, in the comics, and I'm not up to date in the comics, this is just from memory, or what I read, they do get powers. I don't think they're as overt as laser vision, which he seems to have. And I do find it interesting that they gave it away on the poster and the trailer that he gets powers. Because that seems like something you would save. So I do wonder if there's something going on. Is there some sort of villain in this that's controlling minds or causing illusions? Because again, the montage and dancing and singing and stuff makes you kind of go like, this doesn't seem like something that would happen in regular reality. So I don't know, but it does kind of lead to an interesting wrinkle that he kind of had to become what he hates to destroy what he hates, I guess. But anyway, there's other, there's no graceful way to segue into this. We got a Homelander dildo, which is out of focus. That's what it looked like. I hope that's what it was, because otherwise I'd be looking a bit of a pervert if it's just someone's finger or something. Be a hell of a finger. Laurie Holden also shows up as Crimson Countess. That's like the boys' version of Scarlet Witch. She explodes, a mascot of Homelander. Again, a lot of exploding and guts in this, because how can you not love this show, man? It's such a guilty pleasure in a way. But yeah, we also get a new hero, Jensen Ackles, Soldier Boy, who's a Captain America spoof. Which is what I thought was very weird about the way this trailer was presented was like, there's shots of him throughout. And then at the very end they do a kind of a shot of him that almost seemed like they were doing it as a reveal. But I'm like, you just showed us like multiple times. I think it was just kind of meant to be his origin they showed off, but it was very strange. I guess they wanted a shot where it was clearly Jensen Ackles, so all the Supernatural fans would lose their minds, which seemingly they did, by the way. And I saw a really weird tweet. Not to bury this person. I mean, I'm sure I've said stupid things as well. But like, they were like, can we just respect Jensen Ackles as an actor? Because he played a character for 15 years, and now he's playing another character that's totally different. Dude, that's acting. And not only that, most people do more than 2 roles in 15 years. It's just such a strange thing. And I get it, yeah, he's been in that character for so long. Can he act again? Yeah, he's an actor. That's a very strange take, but anyway. Yeah, we also have a few weird bestiality things, maybe? I don't know. We have Deep having sex while looking at and leering at an octopus. That brings to mind immediately Troy McClure energy. He sleeps with the fishes. Oh, I ate too much ding da magoo. Yeah, we also have Homelander milking a cow with a really weird look on his face, which that's going to be burned into my head until the show comes out. I'm not going to be able to sleep. Yeah, we also have, as I mentioned, Butcher seemingly taking the Compound V, and seemingly, and again, this could be like trailer editing, looking like he's going to confront Homelander. So we shall see how that pans out. I don't know how long the show is going to run. I think apparently they have 5 seasons planned out, but we'll see. I have to say, the randomness and the humor all this got me really hyped for The Boys. It actually made me want to watch the last 2 seasons of The Boys to get caught up again. Because, I was like, I do love the weirdness and craziness of the show. Yeah, June 3rd is when it comes out. The first 3 episodes will hit then. I don't know how I feel about Butcher getting superpowers yet. But I guess I'll have to leave it play out or see if it's actually accurate. They also said season 4 of this could film this year, which would be good because there has been such a big gap. So hopefully we can get season 3 this year and season 4 by the end of next year. That would be pretty sweet. But either way, that is our trailer trash. Some good stuff there. And I'm going to talk about something else that I thought was really good, because I'm going to talk about Turning Red for the one that I watched, my review for Turning Red. You're the one that I watch. Alright, Pixar's latest film, Turning Red. It's currently streaming on Disney+. It's the 3rd film in a row to go straight to Disney Plus from Pixar, which they're not very happy about, seemingly. And could you blame them, really? I mean, but interestingly, it was really good. It might be my favorite of the ones that have gone to Disney Plus. We had Soul, Luca, and Turning Red. I really did like Soul. I might prefer Turning Red. I get the feeling like if I had to watch another one again, I never watched Soul again. I feel like I could watch Turning Red before I watch Soul again though. But I don't know, we'll see. It is directed by Domi Shi. This is her first feature debut. She previously made the short film Bow, which is also fantastic. I think it attached to Incredibles 2. It was very good anyway. This follows a 13-year-old Chinese-Canadian girl named Mei-Lin Lee who transforms into a giant red panda when she feels strong emotions. The director is a Chinese-Canadian herself, so it certainly feels like a very personal film for her, and she said it's very much inspired by her life growing up, because it is, of course, a coming-of-age story. What I found interesting about this is that, in some ways, it did not really feel like a traditional Pixar film. I've spoken in the past about how it feels to me like recent Pixar films have sort of followed the same formula, which is the kind of buddy road trip movie. And I think if you apply that broadly, it really does work as a criticism if you kind of say, like, actually, this is really boils down to two characters on an adventure. And they feel like they've done that a lot. And that isn't to say I didn't like their most recent films, by the way. But to me, this felt a far more personal story as a result of that. Well, there were, of course, plenty of side characters and such. It was very much a film about one character going through something, and that is pivotal to me for why this film worked. It's a personal film that feels like we're with that character going through that. It really puts you in the shoes of that character. It felt so personal about, like, it felt like a film that was really personal about this girl of Mei-Lin, being that it's an awkward time of her just having become a teenager when she's still being treated as a child, but also not a grown-up either. She's like in that weird nether realm of just being a teenager, but still being treated as a child, but also not feeling independent enough to be a teenager or be on the way to becoming a grown-up, which made it quite interesting to me. And in that, there's something that we can just all relate to, I think. It's kind of a universal thing that we could all kind of admit that we went through at some time, which is interesting because I want to talk about a review for this that's garnered a lot of controversy, because the review came from a critic who said that the film was limiting. He said, and I quote, "By rooting Turning Red very specifically in the Asian community of Toronto, the film legitimately feels like it was made for Domi Shi's friends and immediate family members," which is fine, but also it's had limiting in its scope, which, man, is just such bullshit and a really terrible review. And that's not me, pissing on a guy's grave, very obviously. That's a dark metaphor. No, in other words, it's not me like tipping the cap or, I don't know, what, virtue signaling, is that what that would be? It just doesn't make any sense. Because I actually liked how in some ways it was an invitation into a world that maybe I'm not familiar with. And it's not like, it's such a dumb thing to say in general because it's so untrue. Like, how many films have we had where, like, there's countless movies where if you're unfamiliar with a setting or a character that is different to you, like, you can still relate to the film. I enjoy Pirates of the Caribbean. I've never been a pirate. Spider-Man wouldn't work if you couldn't get into the shoes of Peter Parker. It's so stupid because the film and films in general, art in general, relies on empathy. And this film has a real empathy with teenagers going through puberty, and girls especially. The most obvious parallel you can draw with this film is that it is a movie about puberty too. And it's not shy about it. There are scenes where our lead is openly pining and lusting after boys, which, again, something we're probably more comfortable seeing boys go after girls in film. It's not something we often see with a teenage girl going after boys, certainly not as much as the reverse is true. There's a scene when she first transforms where her mother thinks that what's going on is that she's had her first period. And the movie is very blunt about it, talking about the changes and showing pads on screen, which even the title, I could say, and I hope I'm not being crass here, but I think it does work. Could work as an allegory for that time in a woman's life. And it's refreshing to see a film that is so open with that. And I say that as a man. Like, look, I've had it easy with regards to the depiction of my gender in art. And I'd be fascinated to see how women feel about that. I think it really is really interesting. I think it's really nice that they talk about something that is a natural situation and that we are all aware of or should be aware of. And I do think it probably will lead to some pearl clutching from more conservative parents, wrongly. But hopefully less of that than it would have in times past at the very least. Hopefully we kind of have less controversy than we would have in previous years, and hopefully that's a bit of progress, and this is giving that bit of progress, because I thought it really should be lauded for doing something that is so open and honest about puberty, because I think what's awkward is that people don't talk about that stuff, and because of that it does become more awkward than maybe it should be. And that really is the theme of the movie. But there is other things in the film, of course, that I found very interesting and quite different about the film, to be honest, which was the presentation of the film, I should say. It's a very frenetic and fast film when it comes to animation, more so than the usual Pixar stuff. It actually kind of reminded me, strange enough, of the Mitchells versus the Machines in that regard. It's also very bright and colourful. Not to say other Pixar films haven't been, but there's some fantastic animation in this. I especially liked, there's a nightmare scene that I thought looked fantastic. A lot of cool montages and some fantasy sequences as well. It just had a very different style, I felt, than a lot of Pixar films. If you had told me, if I hadn't known this was a Pixar film, I wonder if I'd have picked it up, to be honest. They had some cool lighting and colouring as well, and I really liked the movement of the characters in some of the scenes, especially May-Lin when she's being kind of awkward or trying to cover something up from her mother in one scene in particular. I just love the way it's done. It's very humorous and very well animated. I also like the music quite a bit as well. There's a fictional boy band that's kind of pivotal to the story and the plot of the movie. And Billie Eilish did some of the music for them, and it's great. Like, it's so fitting. It sounds exactly like a 2000s boy band. Like, at first I was wondering, I was like, is this actually a boy band I haven't heard of before? Is this a Backstreet Boys song that they're just retrofitting? I have no idea. But it also, I should say, since we're talking about boy bands in the year 2000s, I should bring up the setting, because this is set in the early 2000s, which I found fascinating as well, because we don't often see that depicted yet. It's almost too recent in a way. But it made it quite interesting, because in reality, not a lot has changed between the eras, like visually. Like, the 70s, there's a lot of things you could throw in there to be like, hey, this is the 70s and not modern times. Same with even the 90s and the 80s, but I was wondering how they would depict that. And, you know, it wasn't major, but it was nice seeing Tamagotchis and flip phones and boy bands and a bit more goths walking around. It was just a bit of fun. I did always wonder how that era would be depicted, and, you know, there you go. I was kind of happy and I found it kind of entertaining. Maybe I was just appealing to someone like myself, but I couldn't possibly relate to this film, as I'm not a Chinese Canadian American girl or whatever. The voice cast is also largely unknown. I think they did a great job, though. They clearly got the right people for the job. I liked the world it was in. There's a sort of magic realism to this world, of course. The character becomes a giant red panda, and rather than everyone freaking out, they kind of accept it and think it's cool pretty quickly. So I kind of liked that spin, you know, which was interesting. I like the character designs, and if there was any justice, and it probably won't happen now because it's on Disney Plus instead of cinemas, so who knows, they would sell 1 million of those red panda plushies, because goddamn, the red panda in this is so damn adorable. I thought the group of friends May-Lin had were great as well, and honestly, this is no joke, seeing how much they were like nice to each other and supported each other was genuinely quite touching and moving. There was a scene that actually almost kind of made me well up a bit because of how supportive they were of a friend going through a difficult time. It was just very beautiful and very pure. I don't have much else to say, to be honest. At its core, it's just a very simple movie, and that's part of the charm, in that it is a simple film about a complex time that we can all relate to. But it's certainly a movie with a strong feminine voice, which is appropriate because this is the first Pixar film solely directed by a woman, and that brings with it a new sensitivity and point of view to women's issues and the reality of being a teenage girl, which is long overdue, and it doesn't make you feel like an outsider at the same time, though. You know, I was watching this as a man in his near 30s now. It didn't make me feel like an outsider. I felt like almost like an insight into it in a fun, not isolating way. It feels like a sort of universal understanding of the strange, cringy horror and beauty, in some ways, of being a teenager. And in a weird way, it actually reminded me a lot of Bo Burnham's 8th Grade. Of course, it's aimed at a much younger audience, though. While it certainly showcases strong and supportive women, the male characters are all shown to have their own wisdom and heart as well, though. If I had critiques, I would say I didn't find it overly funny. There was a few moments that did get a laugh out of me, but there was some moments that I think just missed the mark humor-wise. I don't know why. I didn't think it was unfunny. I didn't think the jokes were big misses. It was mostly kind of put a smile on my face, supposed to make me laugh, though. And I would say it feels a little bit rudderless at times, like it was kind of a slice-of-life sort of film. I think that's the case often with, coming-of-age films in general, so I wouldn't say it's unique in that regard. But yeah, as I mentioned, I won't say I loved it, but I would say I really liked it, and would certainly urge you to check it out. Turning Red. It's on Disney Plus if you want to check it out. Yeah, well worth a watch, I would say. And that's the end of our show. But of course, if I'm going to send you home, I'm going to send you home happy with some useless IMDb trivia.
All trivia may be useless, but no trivia is more useless than useless IMDb trivia. That's a piece of trivia too.
Well, we're back with some useless IMDb trivia, and we're talking about a film I just reviewed, Turning Red. Now, this is interesting, because normally when I do useless IMDb trivia, it is, films that are a bit older. And because of that, there's a bit of time to develop trivia. This is recent, so I don't know if I'm going to get any useless IMDb trivia. It actually really is useless IMDb trivia. It's not even funnily amusing. It's like, it's like written by a robot. It's like auto-generated. Like, this is the 6th film to be released in March by Pixar. This is the 12th Pixar film to be rated PG by the MPAA. It is the first animated Disney film since The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh in 1977 to be released on March 11th. Why? Who bothered to check that? This truly is useless IMDb trivia. I might have to retire the feature. This is the most useless thing ever. Like, normally I'm like, if you use this trivia at a party, it's like, it's so useless that people are like, I can't do anything with that. That's going to be really awkward to say. But it's also kind of funny. This is genuinely useless. Like, if someone says this to you, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with this person? Pixar's 9th film to have a PG rating in Australia. Oh, just imagine saying that. Oh, okay, this guy's clearly Australian. One of them says the 9th film to have a PG rating, and then it says Disney's... Okay, so Pixar's 9th film to have a PG rating in Australia. So imagine this. You're at a party, having the drinks, do. Someone's like, hey, do you see that new film Turning Red? Yeah, I really liked it. It was quite good. Blah, blah, blah. Did you know it's Pixar's 9th film to have a PG rating in Australia? Oh, okay. It's Disney's 19th film to be rated PG in Australia. Okay. Oh my god. Yes, it's that really is useless IMDb trivia. I don't know. You can't do anything with that, can you? Not really. But there you go. That's why it's useless IMDb trivia. Oh man. I think I just killed this feature by it being so useless. I could record again. I'm not going to. That because look, it's useless. And that's what we do here. We provide useless information. And you can take that to the bank. And when you take it to the bank, you can say it to the person at the counter and you'll be kindly asked to leave. That's just what we do here at the Pop Called Pod. And if you want more of what we do, I'm acting like I'm making a presidential speech, and then I realize I actually do have to say something. I can't just end the show. Yes, I do have more things to say, which is, if you enjoy this, be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. If you find us on Spotify, be sure to give us a rating, or just follow us wherever you're listening to this. I really would appreciate it. As we get to our 50th episode of Pop Called Pod, wow, what am I going to do for 50? We'll have to see. Will I have a feature prepared and then pull it at the last minute? Probably not. Hopefully not. But yeah, there is, hopefully, our traditional Irish language episode, Oscuelga, will hopefully be up this week as well. I'm hoping. Again, the life might get in the way, but hopefully not. I've kept it running the last few years. Hopefully I can keep it going this year. I'm also hoping to have another episode out before the end of the month. Maybe something to do with the Oscars. I'll have to see. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Of course, there's plenty of stuff on the channel. I just, as I mentioned, posted my Batman review. I also put up a standalone version of a feature I did long ago, which was Joel Schumacher's third Batman film and what it would have been. Either way, there's always stuff coming to the channel, so be sure to like and subscribe. We're going to keep doing podcasts, of course, so make sure you come back. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, please give us a positive rating. Recommend this to a friend. It would really help us out. Either way, that is the show for this week. We'll be back really soon, I promise, because I love you. Even though I subjected you to some truly useless IMDb trivia. Either way, I've been your cult leader, Tom Pod. That's been the Pop Called Pod. Remember, I can't spell cult without you.
This is a broadcast from the Pop Cult Pod.